Hi, my name is Paul Anton and I'm author of The Sales Pro, and I want to talk today regarding closing the sale. The one thing I want to reinforce before we get into some of the techniques that the Sales Pro utilizes is that there's no magic ingredient in closing the sale, and there's no one sentence that I can offer you or anybody can offer you that's going to suddenly give you the ability to close more sales tomorrow. What the Sales Pro does is create a platform of trust which reinforces a comfort level to their client that when the time makes sense, it's good to make the decision to move forward. And that platform of trust has been created from the very first second the Sales Pro has met their client. The Sales Pro is reinforcing that they have their interests at heart. The client's interests at heart are everything to do with how the Sales Pro is thinking. And the client feels that. The client feels that the Sales Pro is really interested in them and is reinforcing through the questioning that they are doing all they can to ensure that this decision is going to be the right decision for the client and the solution they're offering is the right solution for the client. So first and foremost, it's not about the Sales Pro, it's about the client they're talking to. When you can reinforce that, you influence the client to come back to you and start interacting and creating a partnership. And the Sales Pro does that through reinforcing to their client that they know everything about their industry. They've made it their job to know about the client's industry so they can marry the two together. They've made it their job to also understand fully their competition, to fully understand their own breadth of offering. So that what it does is reinforce to the client that the decision that the Sales Pro is going to present is the right solution based on all of this information, and they're presenting it with 100% belief that this is the right solution for their client. That has tremendous power when you create this story that reinforces a holistic understanding of everything that has gone into the reasoning as to why the Sales Pro is presenting this particular solution. That gives confidence and trust to the client that the Sales Pro is doing everything they can to make this the right decision for their client and is educating them as to why. The Sales Pro is never going to take a series of questions and direct them to a client that makes the client feeling stupid if they don't say yes at the end of it. That's not professional selling. Professional selling is reinforcing the support of making a decision at the right time for the client based on the client's best interest. And some of the techniques that the Sales Pro uses help to support that comfort level to make that decision at the right time. One of them is going to be the ability to just assume the sale. The Sales Pro's commitment that this is the right solution for their client, and having created this platform of trust, the client is feeling that the Sales Pro has their interests at heart. So when the Sales Pro moves forward and assuming the paperwork, often the actual client will move forward with it too. They'll be comfortable and happy that the Sales Pro is that committed that we are moving forward. The Sales Pro will also make it easier by offering an alternative of two small things that reinforce when the client answers it that they can move forward. It might be a choice of two colors, two sizes, two delivery dates, but the client, when they answer it with yes, I want that color or that delivery date or that size, has reinforced with the answer that they're moving forward. The Sales Pro will also take some of the questions that they're given from their client at the right time and reflect back that question, confirming that, well, if I can do that color or I can do that delivery date, can we move forward? Is this now a situation where we can actually move forward into the paperwork or to the next stage of the sale? So what the Sales Pro is doing is helping to support these decisions that are naturally right for their client. They're also going to offer a similar situation to be able to reinforce the client that, a lot of people are hesitant when they get to this point. In fact, let me share with you what some of my other clients have done to help to support and make them feel confident that this was the right time to make that decision. And they'll go over some of those reasons and some of those objectives as to what their client looked at in terms of the return on investment they were going to immediately get, the advantages and the results they were going to capture as they progress things along. And the quicker they did it, the quicker they were actually going to gain from the advantages moving forward. And let's see if this is also a good selection for you to be able to look at. What's going to help to reinstill this decision being made now. So they'll offer a similar situation of someone else that was hesitant, but then decided to move forward, and of course, they got the advantages that we've been talking about with you. And then I'll think about it. It's completely normal for people want to think about it. We all do. But again, usually if the platform of trust has been created, I'll think about it. It's just that, hey, I just want to take a breath here a second. And the Sales Pro is going to reinforce that. I totally understand you want to think about it. This is a big decision and we want to make sure it's the right decision for you. I'm sure that based on everything we've done through this point, that I'm hoping you have a comfort level with what we've been talking about and the advantages you're going to capture from this particular solution now. Client is 9 times out of 10 respond with yes, or they're going to say no, and the salesperson they're going to say, okay, tell me what I've missed. Tell me what it is that you still feel you have to reinforce that you need to think about. But let's say they don't. They say, yeah, it is just that point. So what the sales pro will then do is just reinforce, this is a big decision. Why don't we go back over some of the reasoning as to why this makes sense to do this now, that I think were important to you before we got to this point of actually making the decision. And it's also at this point that the sales pro will incorporate perhaps some other elements that make it a reason to do it now. It could be a discount, it could be inventory levels low, it could be the fact that a delivery date has to be met. But this isn't sort of an additional point that the sales pro is suddenly throwing out to the client that is brand new to the client. It's sort of a reinforcement of what they've been talking about regarding the sort of inventory needs to meet the requirements of the client, or the pricing to meet the requirements of the client. And what they're going to do is just again reinforce that, remember, we are getting that pricing, we are getting the inventory now that's going to be able to support the needs of what you're going to want in the time frame you're asking for it. But in addition to that, this is the return on investment you're going to experience from minute one, and these are the advantages you and your company are going to experience from minute one. So let's look at moving this forward, and let's take advantage of what we already know for some of the reasoning as to why it makes sense. If you take all of this, if you take everything that we've talked about in terms of the platform of trust, incorporate all of these elements into your world, you're going to close sales faster and you're going to be more effective with your clients than you ever were before. Move yourself to a sales pro status and start moving sales forward that are right for the client to move forward with. Good selling.